For more than 150 years, Trinity University has celebrated human inquiry. Our innovative curriculum is rooted in a distinctive blend of the liberal arts and sciences. Students and faculty hone creative curiosity by answering questions and questioning answers. In a supportive, interdisciplinary environment, they seek ways to build bridges and make connections. And with intentional meaning and purpose, they are driven by a sense of duty to themselves and to the world. Add in opportunities for undergraduate research, experiential learning, and nationally recognized pre-professional programs in business, communication, healthcare, education, and entrepreneurship, you get the full Trinity experience. The liberal arts plus. And while this experience may end with a Trinity degree, it's just the beginning of a lifetime of inspired exploration and perpetual discovery.
Happy Battle of Flowers, happy opening day, and happy Friday, Tiger fans. It is another perfect night for baseball here in San Antonio, Texas, and we're ready for a SCAC matchup between the University of St. Thomas Celts and the number 21 Trinity University Tigers. I'm Brian Yanselson, joined by Luke Terry.
Yeah, Brian, it's good to be back on the broadcast this weekend. Another beautiful day here in San Antonio. Excited to see this matchup that we have in store. We talked so much on the broadcast this past weekend about that fourth spot in the SCAC and the teams that are going to be battling, trying to claim that spot. St. Thomas actually coming into this one in the standings, sitting at third place right now. So at 5-4 in the conference, just one win short of the number they totaled on the season last year. So certainly a hungry team coming off a disappointing series in which they got swept by Texas Lutheran, but a couple of really competitive games in that series that you can point to that really are indicative of the level of baseball this team's playing.
The results may not have gone in their favor for the Celts, but they were in those games. They nearly pulled out a couple, and I know that both sides are expecting a great series this weekend. Really hungry St. Thomas team going up against a Trinity squad that has won 7 games in a row, and they look to defend their home field here tonight. It should be a great pitching battle as well, but first we will run you through the starting lineup for the visiting Celts, as these offenses will do battle against some starting pitchers that are really on a roll on both sides, and we're excited to get you all the numbers and stats as we get ready for this one. But for the Celts, it'll be a speedy lineup. They come into today with 76 stolen bases. That ranks 11th in Division III. And it all starts at the top of the order with center fielder Kyle Bearden, who is a player to watch in this weekend series for sure. Bearden is followed up by the left fielder Dylan Lamb. There you have it. The picture is right in front of you to go with the names. Dylan Lamb at second base, batting second as well. Batting third, the DH who has been filling in, Leo Galvan. First base, cleaning up, Tristan Pitkin. Batting fifth in center field, Cameron McClure. Batting sixth in right field, Jacob Carrier. At shortstop, batting seventh, Knight Newcomb. At third base, batting eighth, Noah Martinez. And catching, Jason Brown. A lot of transfers on this team, a lot of speed on this team, and they will be going up against the starting pitcher, Joseph Shavana, the sophomore from Laredo, Texas.
Yeah, Brian, and you mentioned both of these pitchers, both of these starters coming in here on a roll. Shavana, and one of his few starts that we've seen out of him this season, went a full 7 innings. That one got cut short. Tigers with a strong showing in the boxes, run ruling the University of Dallas last weekend, but really was held down by Shavana's performance on the mound. Only 2 hits given up on the day, so looking for him to continue that pitch to contact, let the defense play behind him, but he has that great swing and miss stuff that I think he can use if he gets in trouble tonight.
Definitely made a bunch of Crusaders swing and miss with those 10 strikeouts last week. And he gets a swing and miss early in the dirt. Bearden tries to hustle it, but he'll be out at first. So a great start right where he left off, Shavana with out number 1.
Yeah, and again, we see Shavana and his control of that breaking ball that I think he illustrated really well and throughout the duration of his last appearance. You know, he came in and he had absolute control of that pitch. He was able to drop it into the strike zone, but he also did a really, really nice job of burying it in the dirt like we saw in that last strikeout pitch.
Absolutely, and right here he goes up against Dylan Lamb, and Lamb tries to hold back on a breaking ball nearly in the dirt. Looks like he did. No check with the field umpire. But Shavana telling us last week as he joined the broadcast after his brilliant outing, saying that the key was being able to throw those breaking balls in the dirt after getting ahead. He had been working so hard on once you get to 0-2, which is the hard part in an at-bat, then finishing it up in a quick manner to keep that pitch count low, allowed him to go 7 innings. And so at least by the first batter, he's doing much of the same.
Yeah, absolutely, Brian. I think that's something that we've seen the majority of this staff struggle with at times, especially the starters in this rotation. A lot of the times they do a really good job of getting to that two-strike position in a count, but they've lacked at times that wipe out breaking ball or that great off-speed pitch to get a batter swinging out over the top or well in front of a pitch.
This one in the dirt, laid off of by Lamb. Lamb had a great showing in Game 3 against Texas Lutheran. He went 3 for 5 and hit a home run, driving in 2 runs up in Seguin. And as you mentioned at the top, Luke, the Celts having a close series with the Bulldogs. They fell short in all 3 as Lamb hits this one to the right side, fielded over there by Metz, and he hustles on to first for the second out now.
And a good play over there by Metz defensively. Shavana doing a nice job of fielding his position, but we see the speed that MJ Metz has demonstrated on the base paths at times this season, that big 6'5" frame. I don't think we've talked a whole lot about the adjustment that he's made moving across the diamond, third baseman in his first couple of years here at Trinity University, but he's had a pretty seamless transition on the defensive side of things.
Shavana feeling confident in the breaking ball, goes to it for the first pitch strike against Leo Galvan. And Galvan swings over a breaking ball down 0-2 quickly. Galvan has been someone who head coach David Wood told me has filled in nicely for Caleb Edmonds. Galvan able to hold back on that one in the dirt. The check over at first, but no swing. But Edmonds, the All-SCAC honorable mention last year, slowly coming back from injury, hasn't had a whole lot of action, only 4 games, so Galvan has filled in over there, mostly at first base, the DH tonight. Or perhaps a last-minute switch now, Galvan at first base, actually, getting that start. Carrier, the DH now. But Galvan behind here, 1-2. Nearly goes at 1 outside, but he's able to even up the count at 2.
Yeah, but for Shavana, still really competitive offerings. He's gotten Galvan multiple times in this at-bat to at least start his hands. So you know that all of these Celts hitters are really considering picking up the bat off their shoulders and swinging it. But unfortunately for Shavana right there, Galvan just illustrating and demonstrating too much discipline at the plate and ultimately earns the walk.
Tough pitch to lay off of. You saw how long it stayed in the zone before dropping off, but Galvan not biting. And so the inning stays alive for Tristan Pitkin, the catcher. Pitkin swings at the first pitch and misses. Pitkin, an example of something you see up and down this St. Thomas roster, a transfer. Pitkin coming from Ranger Junior College. Shavana checking on the runner at first, but it looks like time was called before then. Pitkin hitting .341 this year, 2 home runs and 19 RBI. So making an immediate impact in his first season over there in Houston.
Yeah, Brian, and I think especially meaningful that Pitkin's making that impact, considering the fact that one of the few Celts that made the SCAC all-conference team last year, and Parker Edwards, who was a second-team all-conference catcher, vacated. He transferred out. He's now at Houston Baptist, a Division I university, where he's hitting .381 as an everyday player. So certainly you can recognize the talent that's there. That was expected to be a huge loss for this roster, for this team, but Pitkin coming in and filling that role nicely.
Not the only thing St. Thomas shares with Houston Baptist. St. Thomas actually plays their home games over there with the home field, Houston Baptist. It's where Trinity faced them last year. Shavana continuing to check on the runner over there. The Tigers pulling off a 3-game sweep of the Celts last year. But similar to the Celt series with TLU and Seguin, it was a close one. Really every game. And here in the first inning, after a walk with 2 outs, a base hit up the middle, has runners at the corners with 2 outs for the Celts.
Yeah, just a nice piece of hitting from Pitkin right there. Sees a pitch on the outside part of the plate. Goes right back up the middle with it. Unfortunately for the Tigers, though, that one took a little bit of an odd bounce off the pitcher's mound. Looks like that one otherwise would have been a pretty routine ground ball out there at second and shortstop. Instead, that one bounces over their head into the outfield. Now, for the Celts, after recording 2 quick outs, they have runners on first and third.
And McClure swings at the first pitch, grounds it foul towards the Tiger dugout. For his efforts last week against Dallas, Shavana was named SCAC Pitcher of the Week for the second time this year. Definitely an honor well-deserved as Shavana continues to gain momentum as the season goes along. Loops in a breaking ball that McClure is unable to swing at, so he falls behind 0-2. Shavana trying to get out of a first inning jam.
And the last 2 appearances, this is where he's buried that breaking ball so well.
Runner going to second, Pettit with the throw, and he gets him. Runner trying to take second base, Pitkin, the catcher. With runners at the corners, an interesting decision here in the first inning. And just like that, the inning comes to an end, so the Celts put something together with 2 outs in the first, but they're caught trying to steal second and leave a runner at third. Joseph Shavana gets out of it and brings the Tigers to the plate after this quick break. Welcome back to Tiger Network. A curious end to the top of the first with the caught stealing, but now we'll get you through the starting lineup for the Trinity Tigers. Leading off at second base, Colt Harris. Batting second, the DH Nathan Brolick. In center field and batting third, a familiar spot, Ezra Gore. Batting cleanup at first base, MJ Metz. Batting fifth at third base, Jack Wisniewski. Batting sixth, the left fielder, Brian Schaub. In right field, once again batting seventh, Jack Vonderhaar. Behind the plate and batting eighth, Tyler Pettit. And getting the start at shortstop, batting ninth, Michael Montreza.
Yeah, and I think important in that DH number 2 hole, Nathan Brolick, a guy that you certainly want to circle in this one. The Trinity coaching staff taking advantage of their left-handed hitters. He makes an appearance tonight. He hasn't had a ton of at-bats on the season, but I know something we pointed out last weekend, Nathan Brolick, 9 of his last 10, so swinging an incredibly hot bat and a dangerous asset to have in the lineup. But for this entire Tiger order, it's going to be a tall task today against Murray, who comes in, and we've already talked about the fact that both of these starting pitchers are on rolls to start this SCAC season.
Yeah, so Colt Harris at the plate to start things off. And he's going up against Murray. Grounding it foul towards first base as Galvan gets to it. But Harris will have to walk on back to the batter's box. Murray, in a Friday night showcase last week against TLU, lost a 1-0 affair. And he went 8 innings, gave up 6 hits, and just 1 run against a very powerful Bulldog offense. It is not easy to hold down TLU to just 1 run. And so expect a good pitcher's duel here between Shavana and Murray. And quickly, Murray gets Harris to strike out swinging for the first out of the inning. Which is not something we've seen often. Colt Harris, you saw the 400 batting average to come into play today, but he's unable to connect with that one. And it'll bring up Nathan Brolick.
Yeah, and for Murray on the mound, equally important for him to get ahead in at-bats is exactly what he did right there, going ahead of Harris 1-2 and allowed him to throw that breaking ball. You have to imagine that a big righty standing in there, about 6'2", 6'3" on the mound. Big discrepancy in the speed of that fastball and that breaking ball is going to have these Tiger hitters off balance.
And he looks to have an interesting delivery, kind of stepping at the batter. A lot of movement down there. We'll get a look at it right here at the 1-1. You see how he kind of steps behind the rubber and then comes forward. Not something you see all the time from pitchers. Murray, the junior from Houston, transferred from the University of Mary Hardin Baylor. A team we'll see next week here in San Antonio. Brolick lines it up the middle, off the glove of the shortstop, and it'll be a base hit. Should be a base hit for Brolick on that hard hit ball. Brown just unable to collect it.
Yeah, an odd play out there at shortstop. Looked like that one was pretty much hit directly at Brown, who was playing shaded up the middle. But for Nathan Brolick, have to say, absolutely deserving of that hit. Put a lot of the barrel on that baseball, sent it right back where it came from.
We'll wait for the official scorer's decision on that one, but for now, Brolick at first base, and Ezra Gore to the plate, lays off of a breaking ball outside for ball 1.
You mentioned the fact that last Friday, Murray in that start against Texas Lutheran went that full 8 innings for this Tiger lineup. Important in these early innings to induce some high-pressure situations on the mound.
Gore crushes this one to center field. Going back and making the catch is Bearden out there. And Brolick will have to go back to first. It looked like Gore might get it to the fence there. But Bearden does a nice job to track it down and get the second out of the first inning.
Yeah, you see those flags blowing out just a little bit in center field. Looked like Ezra Gore got the middle third of the baseball, but that one perhaps just a little bit off the end of the bat. You know that Gore has the power and the pop in his bat to send it out of here to all fields. So I think you're right in reading that one off the bat, thinking that it might have had a chance to leave the yard.
First pitch to Metz, a low strike called, and then a check on Brolick over there at first. The decision, a fielding error on the shortstop Brown, so no base hit for Brolick. So now he'll have to settle for being 9 for his last 11, but still hitting the ball extremely hard. And most importantly, he's over there at first. Metz at the plate, trying to bring him home. He puts a good swing on that one and gets the ball stuck in the fence right there behind home.
But for Murray, a nice response after being barreled up by Brolick in that second at-bat of the game. Doing a nice job to get way ahead of Metz right here in 0-2 count, setting up a possibility for him to throw that nice breaking ball again.
And he goes with the off-speed delivery, gets Metz to swing past it. And Murray has a couple of balls hit quite hard off of him, but no damage done other than a runner on first as he gets Metz to go down swinging on the changeup. So after one here in San Antonio, St. Thomas 0, Trinity 0. Both sides get some good looks and a couple of good opportunities, but no runs come across the score in the first. So now Joseph Shavana will try to keep things going against McClure, who was at the plate when Pitkin was caught trying to steal second base. There were runners at the corners with 2 outs, and the catcher took off for second and was thrown out by Pettit.
Yeah, I know we talked a little bit in between innings off air about what exactly was going on right there. Pitkin certainly didn't get a good jump over there at first base, and you have to imagine that out of all the stolen bases this squad has on the year, not a ton of them coming from their catcher. So perhaps a missed sign occurring right there or something of that sort.
A breaking ball stays up in the zone. McClure gets a good swing on it, but Schaub able to range over and make the catch. See, this is probably not where Shavana wanted the curveball, but McClure not getting enough of it to send it over the left fielder's head. So now Jacob Carrier stands at the plate. Carrier swings at the first pitch. Harris to his right. Nice snag and throw to get the speedy Carrier.
Yeah, and I think now we're starting to see kind of that hybrid approach that Shavana has. Saw a couple nice breaking balls early on in the first inning that worked and operated as that go-to wipeout pitch to get the strikeout. But here in the second inning, having thrown 20-plus pitches in the first, has a couple of offerings to hitters, hittable pitches, inducing some swings that these Celts players have put the baseball in play with. But Shavana trusting the defense behind them, a defense that has been much improved, especially in the SCAC play early on in the year. Had a lot of errors that hurt them in ball games that otherwise seemed very, very winnable, but they've limited those since the conference play has started, and it's really, really shown so far.
Defense, such a key component to allowing the pitchers to succeed as they get the batters to put balls into play. Great to have the defense that you trust behind you. It was the first thing head coach Tim Scannell asked me after that doubleheader sweep of Dallas. He said, how many errors did we have? Wasn't many that I could remember, and it was 0 in both of those games. So definitely something that stood out to him. Shavana ahead 1-2. And he gets Newcomb to chase, or does he? The check over there at first says Newcomb held the swing. So we'll do the 2-2.
A really nice sequence of pitches right there from Shavana. Went up in the zone with the fastball. Newcomb barely able to get the barrel on the baseball. And he goes to a couple of nice breaking balls that he buries in the dirt again in the inning here.
Yeah, he held back once, but he couldn't do it twice in a row. Newcomb goes down swinging. And a 1-2-3 inning for Joseph Shavana. We head to the bottom of the second. Tigers looking to get on the board. Jack Wisniewski will lead things off here in the bottom of the second. And you might notice, no batting gloves. He had some batting gloves against Dallas, which we were both curious about, Luke. They get a close look at it. I said, Jack, what's going on? Where'd the batting gloves come from? And he said it was so humid that he had to put some on. Didn't want to let go of the bat or anything with how sweaty his hands were getting, but not something you'll see every day.
Yeah, being out on the field pregame, much cooler, more comfortable temperatures, so no surprise at all to see the bare hands out for Jack Wisniewski.
And it's surprising that it's as cool as it is, if you can call 80 degrees cool, of course, but we're from San Antonio, so it is for us. But the Battle of Flowers always seems to be the day that the sun just decides to scorch the entire city. But I'm glad we had a good day for the parade. Wisniewski lines this one to right field, but it is caught out there by the right fielder, McClure. He was playing deep on Wisniewski, and it paid off.
Yeah, it's not often that we see Wisniewski pull the baseball to straightaway right field. It's exactly what he did there. Drove that one pretty deep. But it looked to be a two-seam fastball, something with a little bit of run arm side for Murray on the mound. And I think that one was just off the bat, off the end of the bat for Wisniewski right there, but a really nice swing, really nice contact.
First pitch to Brian Schaub hits number 42 right in the elbow, maybe the forearm area of that front arm. Let's see. Looks to be that left elbow, and so Schaub will take a free trip down to first. And maybe the only way to keep Schaub from getting a base hit, he went 3 for 4 against Our Lady of the Lake on Tuesday. And he scored 4 times. So Schaub over at first, and Jack Vonderhaar up at the plate.
It's the third lefty in this Tiger lineup, and seems to be a trend emerging so far in this one. Brolick and Wisniewski both stepping into the batter's box on the left side from our point of view and swinging the bat really, really well. A couple of baseballs have been barreled from these left-handed hitters already, and now with a runner on and just one out in the bottom of the second. Perfect time for Vonderhaar to join in on that party.
Vonderhaar nods his head in agreement on that strike call on the inside part of the plate. So he falls behind 0-2 to Murray. Vonderhaar not playing until the very end of that game against Our Lady of the Lake, and he only came in defensively. His last at-bat came against Dallas on Sunday, and he had a home run in that Game 3. He went back-to-back with Schaub. It was his second home run of the 2022 season. He awaits the 0-2 pitch here. Pitkin clapping his glove. Now setting up lower. Vonderhaar chops it to the right side. The second baseman will go to first. Won't try to get the lead runner, Martinez, going with the safe out at first. So Vonderhaar retired, but Schaub out there at second with 2 away.
And again from Murray, we see that fade towards his arm side, but that one also fading a little bit down towards the ground. More so than some of the pitches and deliveries we've seen in previous at-bats. But if he continues with that, I think he's going to be successful today, inducing a lot of ground balls against this Tiger offense. But I think that they might be satisfied with that. Remember, early on in that Dallas series, a lot of pop-ups for this Trinity lineup, something that this coaching staff isn't incredibly happy with. But for these Tigers, opportunity to put the baseball on the ground, a good one.
Now an opportunity to move up and move in. Schaub will score all the way from second as he advances to third on the wild pitch, and then Pitkin trying to recover, getting him out at third. Instead, throws it into left field to give the Tigers a lead.
And you see how that brick wall back there behind the home plate comes into play. That one shooting all the way back to Pitkin. Difficult to tell from that angle what exactly happened down there at third base.
Has to be frustrating if you're Murray, who delivers a fastball here, misses high to Pettit. Murray pitching well, not having anything hit hard off of him here, but instead a hit by pitch, and then Schaub coming all the way on a couple of rough throws. First, that throw to home that got past the catcher, of course, and then the throw into left. So 2 errors already on the board for the Celts, and this is after they had 4 in their last game against TLU. So the defense definitely something they have to shore up if they want to come on the road and beat the top teams in the conference. As Pettit looks at the 3-0 for a strike. Tough road trip when you have to go to Seguin and San Antonio in back-to-back weekends, which is what the Celts are doing here. Pettit grounds this one towards third. It'll go foul.
Yeah, and things don't get any easier for this Celts team, Brian, as they head home, but they'll have Southwestern coming to town next weekend. Really a crucial series for both of these squads. We talked in the open about that 4th spot in the conference, one that I think many people thought was going to go to Southwestern, but the Celts have an opportunity to steal that position and make a run in the SCAC tournament.
Should be good, and should be a good weekend throughout. We're off to an early start with the Tigers up 1-0 on the wild throw into left, but we'll be back with more great baseball on Tiger Network. Trinity with an early lead here in San Antonio, 1-0 over St. Thomas. And the bottom of the Celts lineup now coming to the plate. Noah Martinez leading things off in the 3rd. Martinez first pitch swinging, something we've seen from several St. Thomas hitters. Fouls it straight back for strike 1.
And something that Shavana has carried forward into this one from his last start is that pace on the mound. We see him back on the bump after every pitch, very quickly ready for the next delivery. I think it's something that in that series against the University of Dallas, the Crusaders kind of put themselves in trouble by not stepping out of the box, not trying to disrupt his timing. I think that University of St. Thomas has already done a better job early on in this one, but for Shavana, now 2 full innings in, doesn't seem as if it's phased him a bit.
Martinez fouls another one back to keep the at-bat going. Martinez, the senior from New Braunfels, Texas, just north of here, the former Unicorn. Continues to foul it back, almost in the exact same spot these foul balls are going. But he's making Shavana work a little bit here to start the 3rd. Martinez transferring in from Clark State Community College. Looks at one outside and low. That one just a little bit outside Pettit. Unable to frame it in the plate, and the count heads to 3-2. Lots of chatter coming from the St. Thomas dugout. And Martinez again fouls it. So Martinez with a good battle here. He went 1 for 4, drove in a run against TLU last week.
I really like Shavana's control of the baseball right now. Aside from that last pitch, he's forced to throw that fastball in that 3-2 count. Saw a lot of really nice competitive pitches that he located kind of at will in and around the zone. Was able to consistently drop that breaking ball in. But a nice job from Martinez to just fight those pitches off and ultimately saw that last one out of the zone. I think earlier on in at-bats, when Siobhan is throwing as well as he is tonight, has command of all of his pitches the way he does right now. I'd like to see him go up in the zone, elevate that fastball, especially in tandem with that breaking ball, confuse hitters with that pitch starting high. I think you might catch some of these Celt hitters off guard, assuming that it's going to break into the bottom or the middle of the zone and have them swinging and missing underneath them.
It looked like a breaking ball that Shavana went with to start the at-bat to Brown. And Brown bunted it foul. And now the check on Martinez over there at first, and that leadoff walk certainly creates all sorts of possible scenarios now to start the inning. This is a St. Thomas team that will look to manufacture runs any way they can. The bunt off on that last pitch, and the runner not going anywhere, but mentioned it at the top if you missed it. This is a St. Thomas team that has 76 stolen bases on the year, good enough for 11th in the entire country. And Martinez over there has 9 of them, has only been caught twice, so wouldn't be surprised to see something on here. The bunt back, and Brown pulls it back, but it's a strike, so 1-2 now.
And Brian, I know how much you love stats, and I'm certainly this Tiger coaching staff is just as cognizant of that stolen base number as you are, but it's something that this pitching staff has improved on drastically this season with Tyler Pettit behind the plate. I have to imagine that they're in a pretty good spot. We saw Pettit throw out some runners last weekend, one of the first times that we had seen that happen consistently for Trinity. So certainly something that they'll need to see carry forward this weekend as Pettit does a nice job on that ball in the dirt.
You say I love stats? I have one for you. Trinity opponents have been 48 for 59 on stolen base attempts this year, so that's an 81% success rate. So definitely something to watch, and Martinez is off with that pitch. Brown sends it the other way, and Martinez will have to hustle back because Vonderhaar gets the catch and just back in time. So Martinez was taking off on the 3-2, and you see him quickly have to turn around and get back as Vonderhaar nearly doubles him up. A lot closer than even looked at first glance. Metz almost pulling off the double play there on his end.
Yeah, and a good job from Metz over there to make sure that he hauled that one in kind of by any means necessary. Kind of caught him in between, not a short hop with that throw coming all the way from right field, but not able to backhand it either. That one getting tight in on his body, but again, doing a nice job. Just make sure that he secures the baseball, giving the Tigers the opportunity for the double play there at first base.
To put some context to the stats on the stolen bases that we've been discussing, Coach David Wood telling me that it's a way to put pressure on the defense and also to take pressure off of your offense, to know that you don't have to get 3 consecutive base hits in an inning to score a run. You could get someone on with a walk, as they've done here, maybe move them with a bunt, steal third, and then score on a wild pitch, a sacrifice fly. So just a way to create a little havoc out there, and it certainly worked for them so far this year. And you combine their ability on the base paths with the difficulties that Trinity has had throwing out runners, and certainly one of the key facets of this series that is just getting going here on this Friday night in San Antonio. Shavana clearly aware of the speed of Martinez. He's thrown over there a couple of times, and the entire St. Thomas dugout yelling back to help their teammate.
You talk about the difficulties that this roster and these catchers have had throwing out runners on the season, but important to note and kind of discuss the fact that there's so many moving parts that go into trying to throw out runners that are stealing bags.
Harris grounds that one, flips it to short, and they turn the double play. Met's able to pick that one out of the dirt. And so Bearden, one of the fastest ones on this fast St. Thomas team, grounds into a double play. Harris to Montreza to Met. So Shavana able to use his defense right there to get out of it. And we'll head to the bottom of the third with Trinity still up 1-0. Joseph Shavana so far doing a nice job holding the Celts quiet, and Landon Murray will have to continue to match him as he faces Michael Montreza to start things off in the third. Montreza fouls it on the first pitch. And it's really hard to pinpoint who is the hottest hitter in this Tiger lineup, but I guess that's what happens when the Tigers have won 7 in a row, and in each of those scoring at least 10 runs. But Montreza certainly qualifies as a candidate as he looks at strike 2 there on the breaking ball. Montreza 7 for his last 12 in his last 3 starts, and he has scored 6 times while driving in 5 runs as well. So the shortstop here hitting in the 9 hole, but providing a big boost offensively for Trinity.
Yeah, and the shortstop position, certainly one that we've seen a lot of turnover, a lot of different names and faces in the lineup so far this season. A lot of the other positions really been shored up, even though that guys have continued to flip-flop where they appear in the order. Shortstops continuing to try and cement themselves in the order. I think that each guy has had stretches, but certainly none of them as hot as Montreza, and he continues it right here.
Yeah, that's a single up the middle in front of the center fielder Bearden. So Montreza gets things going in the third with a base hit. And now the top of the order up for the Tigers. And Colt Harris will look to improve on his strikeout that he had in the first time to the plate.
Yeah, and certainly nice to see the shortstop swinging the bat well right there, but perhaps more important and something that we saw in last weekend's series was the bottom of this order swinging the bat really well and turning things over nicely for the top for these 1, 2, 3 hitters.
Runner going on the first pitch, but Harris fouls it right in front of the plate. No, fair ball, says the home plate umpire, and Harris, who did not move from the batter's box, is tagged out by Pitkin. We'll look at the replay right here. Harris just chops it right in front of the plate. And the umpire says it was a fair ball, so Harris will head back to the dugout. Montreza, though, does advance to second. So we'll consider that a sacrifice bunt.
Yeah, more or less. I think that that's exactly the job that got done, at least. A little bit difficult to tell from this angle where exactly that ball hit, but for Harris, an unfortunate break right there. But at the bare minimum, at the very least, have to be happy that now you have another runner in scoring position, just one out here with a guy that swung it already.
Montreza being aggressive on the base pass, and it'll bite him here as Pitkin this time makes a good throw over to third. and nails Montreza trying to take the extra base, so erase that runner in scoring position. And after Montreza reaches base with a single, just a couple pitches later, he's gone an unusual chain of events in this inning so far.
Yeah, early on, not just this inning, Brian, some weird things happening in this one, but have to look at Pitkin behind the plate on that one. Give him props for a really nice job blocking the baseball behind the plate. Saw that breaking ball in the dirt from Murray. Pitkin doing a nice job of getting those shoulders around it to knock it down in front of the plate, right in front of himself, and set him up nicely to deliver that ball to third base and had Montreza easily.
Also not afraid to throw to third after his first throw to third got away from him and resulted in the Tigers' only run of the evening so far. And now a hit by pitch, because why not? Let's keep making this inning a little weird. Brolick hit in the back of the leg, and he'll trot on over to first. So we've had a single, a little chopper in front of the plate that Colt Harris thought was a foul ball, instead was an out. Then a stolen base attempt that was thrown out by Pitkin, and now a hit by pitch. Exactly how these teams draw things up. Gore, first pitch swinging, sends this one to center field. Bearden over, and he makes the running catch for the third out. So a quick inning, despite a lot going on, and Murray able to hold the Tigers to just that one run that they got earlier today. St. Thomas up to the plate in the fourth when we come back. Baseball not the only action on campus tonight as we settle back in for the top of the fourth. And Shavana lands a breaking ball for a strike. The softball team playing just across the way over there on their field, and they are on quite a roll. They've won 4 in a row, and they are up 5-0 over Austin College. So a good start for Trinity baseball and a good start for Trinity softball tonight.
Absolutely, and 4-0, certainly a nice streak that team's on at this point in the season, but perhaps more impressively is the way they've turned things around entirely, starting that campaign off 0-12, but they've been 14-4 in their last 18 games. That nice start to this series this weekend, indicative of where they're headed down the stretch.
It's been a remarkable run for the softball team, and there's plenty of time to catch them. They're playing a doubleheader tomorrow at 12 and 2, and so with baseball's doubleheader starting at 2, you could catch that softball game before heading over to the baseball field. Or if you're on Tiger Network, you could just switch between the two. Imagine that. All the technology brought to you here by Trinity University and brought to you by Joseph Shavana is another strikeout, as he gets Lamb swinging at that one out of the zone, but it's out number 1.
Yeah, and I think for Shavana in this one, as you look to that elevated pitch count, already 55 pitches through just 3 1/3 inning. Important for him to certainly go as deep as he can in this one, but just continue to control this game and shut down this Celts batting order. I think that it's likely he turns the keys over to the bullpen, but having a more defeated batting order that you have to come in and attack, certainly something that can help out the bullpen as they look to shut down and carry over to the end of the game.
Last time there was no need to hand off to the bullpen. That 7-inning complete game shutout. But not expecting a run rule at all this weekend from either side. Expecting very close games throughout. St. Thomas coming into today 11-16 overall, 5-4 within the conference. And Trinity on that 7-game winning streak for a 17-7 overall record. They're tied atop the SCAC with an 8-1 conference record.
And they've looked really, really good in SCAC play outside of that one loss. That one coming in a game where they got the short end of the stick, played fewer than 9 innings and a 10-0 loss to Centenary College on the road. But it certainly seems like that game has served as a wake-up call. Past couple of games for this team have just been complete showings on the pitching mound, in the batter's box, on the field. They've played incredibly well. They've played complete games, and it's something that certainly doesn't look to be slowing down anytime soon.
The 3-2 on the way from Shavana. Grounded to third. Wisniewski takes the big hop, gets it on to Metz for out number 2. And certainly, Luke, it was a tough loss at the time, but maybe something that's turning into more of a win when you consider it in the long-term view. That 10-0 loss to Centenary, fueling the 7-game win streak. And it all started after that loss, a player-only meeting, just to try to chat through things, talk amongst themselves, the leaders of the team stepping up. And the very next day, some adversity. After the 10-0 loss, Trinity falling behind 8-4 to the Gents. It looked like it could be an awful weekend in Shreveport, but the Tigers stormed back, took the doubleheader, and they haven't lost since. So something happened in the northern part of Louisiana that day that has led to the Tigers' turnaround.
And I think you look back to that one as well, thinking back to the conversation that you had with Shavana last weekend on the broadcast after his start. I know that he talked a little bit about the performance of Sammy Conti in that series in Game 2 of the doubleheader at Centenary, just the performance that he had in that starting pitcher slot on the mound and the way that this staff and this rotation has looked to emulate it. I think that's something that they certainly have been successful with.
Pitkin drawing the 4-pitch walk from Shavana with 2 outs in the 4th. So a couple of walks now from Shavana. Still just the 1 hit for the Celts, and it'll bring up McClure with 2 away. But I think you're absolutely right, Luke. The performance of Conti has been critical to serve as an example to these Tiger pitchers about what can be done. And we should see Sammy Conti later on this weekend. Shavana here missing with a first pitch ball to McClure, so now 5 in a row out of the zone for Shavana.
And something that Conti does as well, probably better than anyone else on this staff, Brian, is go inside on right-handed hitter. Certainly something that's made easy for him as a lefty, throwing on his glove side, but I think it's something that when we've seen these other pitchers, these young right-handers like Shavana go inside using that breaking ball, dropping it on the inside part of the plate, we've seen them have great success.
This breaking ball is on the outside part of the plate, and it's driven deep, but it is caught by Ezra Gore out there. Looked like that one was a little trouble, but nothing that's too bad for the center fielder out there. We'll get a good look at it. McClure giving it a drive, but Gore with plenty of time. And we head to the bottom of the 4th. Trinity hanging on to that 1-0 lead to see if we can add on to that with the bats. Trinity still with just one hit on the evening, but they also have one run thanks to a couple of hit-by pitches off the arm of Murray, some wild pitches, and some errors that have led to the Tigers being able to plate one across, but nothing really hard hit that has landed for the Tigers. Murray keeping this lineup relatively quiet, and he has to go through the cleanup hitter Metz to lead off the fourth.
Yeah, but there have been hard-hit baseball. Certainly the thing that if you're in this Tiger lineup, you want to focus on. Try and emulate those swings from the lefties that we've seen so far. Brolick, Wisniewski sending a couple of hard-hit balls back up the middle into right field. But for Gore, a couple of times that he's put the barrel on the baseball, just sent it straight out to the center field. There are some good results, just not ones that have resulted in hits so far for this lineup.
And Murray getting away with one on that last pitch. Don't know if you want to throw another breaking ball to Metz in that spot. Left it with plenty of space in the zone, and Metz sending it the other way foul. He's behind 0-2. We'll see what he gets from Murray. Another breaking ball. This time it's outside for a ball. Metz taking some time between pitches here. Now Murray ready to deliver the 1-2. Similar pitch, a little bit closer, but still not close enough. Murray certainly thought it was. Started walking as if it was a strikeout, but he's back on the rubber for the 2-2. See him taking a deep breath and preparing for this 2-2 pitch to MJ Metz. Certainly have to focus when you're going up against this cleanup hitter. And he gets Metz to strike out swinging. So a couple of soft pitches that Metz was able to lay off of. So Murray goes with the heat, and he gets him to strike out for the second time tonight.
Yeah, and some good pitches from Murray. That previous offering that he assumed was a strike, catching that outside part of the plate. A really nice pitch that I think set up that fastball. Started in similar positions, that breaking ball just finishing right outside the zone, but started exactly where that fastball stayed the entire time. I think Metz recognizing it just a little bit late, recognizing that it was a fastball after it was too late.
First pitch misses inside to Wisniewski, who has one of the hard hit balls that we talked about. That was just sent to the wrong place, the right fielder ranging over to get it. Another pitch inside to Wisniewski. So he'll be in the driver's seat with the 2-0 count. Murray at just 45 pitches here in the bottom of the fourth. And you see he's ready to rock and roll on the rubber. Wisniewski gets underneath this one. Plenty of time for the right fielder to range in and get it. McClure playing deep like he was last time, so he had to run quite a ways, but he gets there in time for the out.
Yeah, another nice pitch on the inside half of the plate from Murray. Nice timing from Wisniewski right there. Just got well underneath the baseball.
First pitch to Schaub, a less painful one than the first pitch last time. Schaub reaching on a hit by pitch, and then coming around to score on the errant throw from the catcher Pitkin. And Schaub able to lay off of a close one there. But Schaub, something about him being able to come across to score. Talked about how against Our Lady of the Lake he scored 4 times, and now the only run in tonight's game. He's used to driving them in, but he can also score them. And here he dribbles it, and it looks like it's going to stay fair. Brian Schaub, he can hit it about 400 feet, and it looks like he can also hit it 45 feet and get an infield single right down that third baseline.
And an interesting one right there. Typically we see those balls down that left field line, curl foul, but that one stayed in the perfect spot for Schaub right there. I think this is a place where we've seen the Tigers have tremendous success this year, hitting with 2 outs has been really, really huge for them. It was big in the series opener last weekend against the University of Dallas. Christian Holloway stepping in from the right side of the plate, drove one over the right field wall to put the first runs of the day on the board for the Tigers. And now Jack Vonderhaar stepping in with the advantage against Murray, the right-handed pitcher. Runner on base.
Off-speed pitch to Vonderhaar, a strike. Up and in. Vonderhaar checking with the umpire, seeing exactly where that one was. So he's behind 0-2 with Schaub over there at first, 2 away in the 4th. Schaub faked a steal attempt on the first pitch to Vonderhaar here, so we'll see if there's anything doing on the 0-2 pitch. Schaub takes a big lead, but not going anywhere. And Vonderhaar grounds it foul to the St. Thomas dugout.
Yeah, but a good cut from Vonderhaar right there, just to fight that one off. Ensure that he sees another pitch in this at-bat and stays alive.
Murray out of the stretch, and he checks on Schaub, who dives back into first safely. You see Pitkin, the catcher, sweeping the ground with his glove, and now asks for it outside. Vonderhaar takes it right where it's thrown, but the left fielder in the perfect spot once again, Lamb, able to corral that one and make it the 3rd out of the inning. So the hard hit outs continue. Just a couple of hits, but that 1 run still on the board on the favor of Trinity. So we are through 4 in San Antonio. We head to the 5th with Trinity up 1-0 over St. Thomas. Beautiful look at the downtown San Antonio skyline, and it is a big day in the Alamo City Battle of Flowers. It is an official city holiday, and Luke, you're from San Antonio, I'm from San Antonio, but for those who are unfamiliar with Battle of Flowers, can you tell us a little bit about what it is?
Brian, I think you're definitely better suited to give the explanation for the Battle of Flowers parade. I know you're from Alamo Heights, and I think you've more than likely frequented that parade and that celebration and event more than I have. I know that I had the opportunity to be down there when I was in high school and see all of the different individuals involved with that. You know, the San Antonio Academy responsible for some of the activities happening at the Alamo. You know, my high school, TMI Episcopal, involved and marching in that parade, but I think that you know a little bit more of the history aspect of things.
Well, I mean, Joseph Shavana is parading through this Celts lineup so far with the strikeouts, but yes, there was a parade in downtown San Antonio. So important that public schools get a day off from school. We had school here at Trinity, but we got to partake in some festivities. It was Fiesta night in the cafeteria yesterday. We had chicken on a stick, corn in a cup, nachos, all the incredible Fiesta foods. And yes, the Battle of Flowers is really the culminating event of Fiesta. It is celebrating the victory in the Battle of San Jacinto way back in the 1800s, which helped Texas become an independent nation at the time and then a state eventually. But it really is just one big party here in San Antonio. And it takes place just about a mile south of campus here at Trinity. We're right in the heart of San Antonio.
Yeah, it's such a great time of the year for the city as a whole. I know for so many years, Fiesta really kind of lined up perfectly with the NBA playoffs and the Spurs, and I know that that's another team that I'm currently feuding with you a little bit over. I know it's quietly. I know we're both happy with the fact that the Spurs and the Pelicans have done a good job to keep the Lakers out of the playoffs.
Well, it's perfect timing as Harris gets it on to MJ Metz over at first to bring up the Lakers. You know, we can officially say that the Lakers are eliminated from playoff contention. And yes, the Pelicans will face the Spurs on Wednesday night, thankfully not interfering with that Tuesday game against Mary Hardin-Baylor. But speaking of NBA takes and opinions, we have a special video for you that we'll show at some point during this game. And it's a debut of a new series we're very excited about. Evan McDonald tends to have some really strong opinions that this team loves to debate in the dugout and at practice. And so we decided to turn it into a series that we're going to call McDonald's Hot Takes. And we'll show it to you, see some of the reaction as well from his teammates. But just as a little teaser, he talks about the Spurs in his hot take.
I don't know if that's a good or a bad thing, Brian. I know, thinking back to my freshman year and some of the dinners that I spent with the baseball team and sitting with Evan McDonald, I heard a lot of really interesting opinions out of him. Being in the dugout this season, those have continued. So certainly an exciting segment to look forward to.
Shavana gets Martinez to ground over to Wisniewski, and the San Antonio native, who certainly knows a lot about the Battle of Flowers, gets the third out of the inning. Quick work for Shavana and the Tigers. We're halfway home in San Antonio. Tigers up 1-0. Time for the bottom of the fifth in San Antonio. And you're probably looking for more San Antonio content, but I promise you the Celts are wanting to learn all they can about this city. They've never been here before. St. Thomas making their first ever visit to San Antonio. And you might be wondering, how is that possible? Well, this is only the third year for their baseball program since they returned in 2020. And here to kick off the fifth inning, Tyler Pettit with a first pitch hit. But they had a 51-year hiatus for their baseball program, but it is officially back. And this is the first time they've ever faced the Tigers in the Alamo City.
Yeah, and right there, Tyler Pettit not being a very welcoming host, but I think that you look to that result and you look at the at-bats that this Tiger order has had so far today, I think it instills a little bit of confidence. Clearly not a whole lot of production that points to the success. Only 3 hits so far on the day. So they'll check back on Pettit over there at first base, but he scurries back in there safely. not a whole lot of hard hit balls that have dropped in for this Tiger lineup, but they haven't looked entirely confused or out of it at the plate. We've seen some balls that have been sent and skied out to the outfield. We've seen some hitters get on top of the baseballs on ground balls in the infield.
Montreza nearly doubled up on the bunt attempt, trying to move over Pettit, but Murray making the tough throw to second, tough for any pitcher, but you could hear the dugout hollering two, and Murray turning, firing to get the lead runner at second, so the sacrifice does not work as attempted.
But for these Tiger hitters, when they have been having those less than favorable results, I guess that's how we should refer to it, you can look at those at-bats, you can look at those results, and you can kind of pretty easily tell what the fix is. You can recognize that the hitter is late, and he just really needs to get his foot down on time. You can tell that he's a little bit behind, and that's causing the barrel of the bat to drop. You can tell that he's way out front and he's rolling over because of that. It seems like it's more of a timing issue beyond anything else for this Tiger lineup. Something that we pointed at in the first inning was the speed discrepancy between that fastball and breaking ball for Murray on the mound, but just feels like a matter of time before this Trinity batting order is able to string together a couple of hits. The way that Siobhan is thrown on the mound to this point doesn't seem like it's going to take a whole lot of insurance on the scoreboard to get across the line with a victory tonight, but certainly need a little bit more of a cushion to be comfortable in this one.
Harris ahead in the count 2-0, looks at a fastball right there for a strike. Maybe it'll come as Colt Harris signifies the third time through the order now for the Tigers. Murray able to maneuver his way through two times across this Trinity lineup, but now Colt and the rest of his teammates will get a third try, and Harris sends this one to third, right at the third baseman, on to second and first for the double play of 5-4-3. Twin killing for the Celts, sends them back to the dugout and back to the plate. We have a good one on our hands here in San Antonio. Celts down just 1 to the Tigers. We told you it could be a pitcher's duel, and it certainly isn't disappointing. Joseph Shavana and Landon Murray going back and forth on the mound, and it is Shavana's turn to face this St. Thomas lineup, beginning with Jason Brown here in the top of the sixth. And Shavana goes with the breaking ball in the dirt. Brown starting off ahead 1-0.
And you mentioned with Colt Harris in the bottom of the previous inning, signifying the third time up to the plate for the Tigers. The same is approaching now for the Celts. Just a couple batters here at the bottom of the order before things get turned over to Bearden, who steps in now for his third appearance of the night.
And as Bearden steps to the plate, a quick correction. It was actually Brandon Herrera who came in to pinch hit for Brown. So not a new pitcher Not a obvious pinch hit or pinch run situation, so not sure what led to that decision, but Herrera grounding out, and now Bearden, the top of the lineup, back for the third time now. Bearden 0 for 2 on the day so far. And he looks at a breaking ball for a strike.
But even as the University of St. Thomas steps into the batter's box for the third time this evening, you'd have to argue that Shavana has been even more electric on the mound with the way he's had that breaking ball working all night long. It's a pitch that this Celts lineup has yet to figure out.
And he mixes it in any count, in any location. You never quite know where it's coming. He can throw it in the dirt for the put-away pitch, or he can loop it in there for a strike. So we'll see what he attacks Bearden with on the 1-2. Bearden not wanting to wait much longer in the box, takes a little time. But Shavana standing already on the mound. Bearden just trying to break up his momentum a little bit. And he swings at one in the dirt. He'll try to reach first, but Pettit guns him down for the second out of the inning, and Bearden strikes out for the second time tonight.
And it's certainly an approach that's working for Shavana here in this one, to this point limiting St. Thomas to just one hit on the evening. The only concern you have really is that pitch count. It's at that 84 mark currently, but through 5 2/3, he's looked really, really good. Just hoping that this offense can give him a couple more runs in support.
Lamb swings at the first pitch. That'll certainly help with the pitch count if Schaub can get there, and he does. So another quick 1-2-3 inning for Joseph Shavana. He continues to deal on the mound for the Tigers. We head to the bottom of the 6th with a 1-run lead for Trinity. As the iconic Yogi Berra once said, little deja vu all over again for Landon Murray. He must be feeling awfully similar to his outing in Seguin against Texas Lutheran that he lost 1-0. He actually got the complete game in that one, but only because the Bulldogs didn't have to come to bat in the 9th inning because they got that victory. So Murray going the whole way, not getting support from his offense, and so far, much of the same story.
Yeah, it's certainly difficult and tough one to swallow when you don't get the offensive run support in a pitching performance like that one. But if the trend continues here tonight, going to be even more difficult to accept, considering that one run that came across for the Tigers was a runner that was on pace after being hit by pitch and then came in purely because of a throwing error, a pass ball, a throwing error on the same play that allowed Brian Schaub to score.
Brolick puts a good swing on the 2-0 delivery, but it's foul. I think you should be proud of me, Luke, that I quoted a New York Yankee.
I know, that is a big step in the right direction.
Sometimes you have to extend an olive branch.
And it's a small one. It's nice to start small with something like that. It's a great quote, one that deserves to be featured on air. And it's just a little thing that, maybe snowballs, maybe doesn't. I don't think we need more Yankee references on the broadcast by any means, but certainly a possibility in the future.
I definitely don't think we need them, but it's just because Shavana is on the mound and he mentioned he grew up a Yankee fan, so just giving him a little something to smile about. But he has plenty to smile about with 6 scoreless innings, and maybe the Tigers giving him a little more support with Brolick leading off the inning with a walk. And the middle of the Tiger lineup will get the opportunity to add to this Tiger lead. Ezra Gore, MJ Metz, and Jack Wisniewski on tap. We'll see where it starts, and Gore showing bunt early. We'll see if he follows through. Pulls it back late, and a good decision if that's a ball.
Yeah, not surprised to see Gore stepping into the box, squaring around right away after we saw the same from Michael Montreza in the last half inning. The speed that Gore has certainly has the opportunity and the capacity to beat something out if he can get it down in the right spot in the infield.
Instead of a bunt, he grounds it to the right side, and it sneaks into right field. Great piece of hitting by the center fielder, sending it the other way, taking the pitch right where it came from. Brolick having to hold up at second, but the Tigers with runners at first and second, nobody out.
Yeah, and I think you're absolutely right there. Just a great piece of hitting from Ezra Gore going the other way with the baseball. Not entirely sure if Nathan Brolick was moving on the pitch right there in a hit-and-run situation, but if that was the case, makes a lot of sense that second baseman over there and Martinez not able to come away with the baseball, vacating that spot, trying to cover second base. But in any circumstance, the Tigers really have something going here in the bottom of the 6th inning. 2 runners on, no one out. At the very least, important if they could get Murray out of the game here, even though that he's in a pretty comfortable spot, having only thrown 67 pitches. A high-stress situation, loading the bases would be huge, and trying to get after that Celt bullpen.
Yeah, big moment in this one with Brolick and Gore reaching. And MJ Metz will come to the plate. MJ striking out twice so far tonight, but you know what? He's gone 12 games without a home run, the longest streak in his career at Trinity. I think it's time for a Battle of Flowers home run to end that streak, wouldn't you say, Luke?
Absolutely. I have to agree with you there. Certainly give this team something to celebrate. We've heard from the mics on field all night long, these teams have been loud, and I think that it certainly would be an explosion from that Tiger dugout. See Metz squaring around on that first pitch, but wouldn't be surprised to see that sign taken away from him, given the green light to swing the bat here.
Murray taking his time, the 1-0 to Metz. No bunt shown and a ball outside. So the second batter we've seen in a row that shows bunt on the first pitch and then pulls it back on the second. Gore turned it into a single, and he's on first now. We'll see what Metz does with the count 2-0 in his favor. Certainly a count you would expect to get a pitch to hit. Big swing from Metz, unable to reach that one outside. Similar to the pitch he struck out on his last at-bat. So Murray may be finding a hole in that swing.
Before the game, there was a lot of conversation in the dugout revolving around Murray and his offerings. Kept hearing the slider being mentioned by the coaches, by these hitters, as the pitch to be especially cognizant of. And when that's the case, that breaking ball being the one that you're going out there looking for, not a surprise to see a hitter step into the batter's box and be late on that fastball.
After the check on Brolick at second, Murray turns his attention to Metz. Another big hack and another miss takes the count to 2-2. So Murray not afraid of the cleanup hitter going right after him with the fastballs. And it's worked so far.
And if you're Murray, you just have to keep going back to that fastball and make Metz make an adjustment right here.
Time called at the plate by MJ.
It's certainly something that's difficult to do in the middle of an at-bat after you've had a couple of fastballs blown by you. Trying to make the adjustment is hard.
The 2-2 on the way. Outside for a ball. 3-2 the count. Still nobody out in the inning, so Brolic, Gore perhaps on the move. We'll have to see. Don't want to take the bat out of Metz's hands, but you could also create some chaos on the base paths. Murray takes a deep breath, looks at second, and he gets it past Metz for the third time. So Metz strikes out for the third time tonight, and Murray gets a big out in the sixth.
Yeah, huge out right there from Murray, especially after that count went full at 3-2. Saw a couple of pitches blown by Metz early on in that at-bat, and that last one, Metz laid on again. That swing just really, really long right now. You know, we talked about the fact that Metz stands in there at 6'5". A lot of moving parts to that swing is that first pitch from Murray to Wisniewski misses on the inside part of the plate. You know, with all those moving pieces, a tendency for the swing to get really, really long. Adjustment needs to come right there. It's just being short and compact, making sure the hands stay inside and that the barrel stays back, trying to go the other way with something certainly scores a run in that situation.
Closer play at second this time. Another turnaround and throw from Murray, but Brolic safe at second. Wisniewski at the plate 0 for 2 tonight, but he hit it quite hard his first time right at the right fielder, and then in his second time sent kind of that golf swing, but you get the sense that he's just missing it, so we'll see if he can connect on a pitch from Murray, who goes with the off-speed pitch that lands inside for a strike. But a couple of good swings from Wisniewski, so we'll see if he can come through in the clutch. One out in the bottom of the sixth. Nathan Brolic at second, Ezra Gore at first. Trinity trying to add on to this one-run lead. Another one inside. This one looked to be closer to Wisniewski, but it's still a strike. And so the third baseman falls behind. Takes a quick look at his bat before stepping back in. Murray looking at Brolic, then turns. Another breaking ball. Wisniewski fouls it the other way and keeps the at-bat going.
Yeah, and a good fight right there. I know early on this season we talked about Wisniewski so much and his tendency to use the entire field. Last season's campaign that paid off for him, had one of the highest batting averages on the team. He hasn't had as much success this season, but it hasn't been because he has been unable to put the baseball into play. He's done a terrific job doing the same here this season. So he sees that one in the dirt. It was a good effort from Pitkin to block that one, but just too much velocity on it. See on the replay right here. Originally looked like a fastball that got spiked, but I think might have been a curveball, more of a true 12-6 curveball that Pitkin got way on top of, and Murray got way on top of, and Pitkin just has no opportunity on a pitch like that back there behind the plate.
And it got so away from Pitkin that you have to wonder if that hit the top of the plate because it bounced hard up off the ground. And so now doesn't even take a hit to score a run. Wisniewski, though, will try to get one, sends it to left. Going back is Lamb. He'll make the catch, but a run will come across to score. Brolic takes advantage of the extra 90 feet, and the Tigers up 2-0 in the sixth.
Yeah, and a great piece of hitting right there from Wisniewski. Using the entire field, something, again, we've talked about his tendency to do. But the biggest aspect of that at-bat, in my opinion, is the fact that he falls behind, he gets 2 strikes on him, and he refuses to give in, something that is perhaps a more telling aspect of his game, something that we've seen more frequently over the past 2 years. Something that's really shown this year is just his refusal to strike out. He's always going to go up and have a meaningful at-bat in some capacity. Doesn't get the hit there, but gets a job done and drives in an insurance run for the Tigers here.
Brian Schaub looks to add some more insurance. Already the 1 run across in the inning, looks at a ball high. But a perfect example here in the bottom of the 6th of not requiring hits to score a run. You had the base hit from Ezra Gore that got into right field, but other than that, it's been the wild pitch and the sacrifice fly, along with the leadoff walk from Brolick. And so the Tigers really having to work for their runs, but they get one here. A strike to Schaub. Something we've maybe lost track of, not having to keep track of it with the Tigers pounding double-digit runs in their last 7 games, but good to see them working and manufacturing runs any way they can. Schaub takes a close one outside for ball 3. Pitkin keeping that one a little longer.
Yeah, certainly a borderline pitch, a similar spot to the last offering, one that was called a strike in the 3rd pitch of the at-bat. Schaub not entirely happy with the call, but sets him up to swing the bat right here in a 3-1 count. Certainly should have the green light.
He does have the green light, and he launches this one deep to left center field, and it is gone. Brian Schaub with the 2-run blast, and the Tigers double up their lead 4-0 over the Celts.
Yeah, and you think about those 3rd and 4th pitches of the at-bat, well located from Murray. One of them gets called for a strike to send the count to 2-1. The 3rd one just a bit outside sends it to 3-1. You think those get reversed, there's no way Brian Schaub has the green light in a 3-0 count. There's no way he gets to swing the bat. See how important the sequencing is. See how important it is that one was called a strike ultimately in a 2-0 count. And it results in 2 runs on the board for the Tigers.
From hitting a little infield single down the 3rd baseline to crushing a home run well into the San Antonio night, you see what Brian Schaub can do when he gets going. And he is on a tear right now.
Yeah, and you clearly done your research, Brian. I know that you said in that at-bat that Brian Schaub could hit the ball 400 feet, and he only hit it 45, but he went ahead and he verified for the viewers at home that you are in fact correct, that he has that much pop in his bat.
Only the facts here on Tiger Network, the 365-foot mark at left center, and he hit it way past that, landing in the trees behind the outfield. Murray trying to recover from it. It's ahead 0-2 on Vonderhaar. But it's been a big inning already for the Tigers as Vonderhaar fouls it back. And you know, you might have thought that the story of the rice cooker ended with the videos last week, but a source told me that not only does Brian Schaub have the rice cooker with Garrett Ayler, he takes it on the road and makes rice and chicken and doesn't like eating much else on the road. And so the rice cooker continues to work in favor of the Tigers, Luke.
Oh, I'm sure, and I think that you see the dividends that it pays here in this one.
Rice cooker, nachos, chicken on a stick, it's all working for the Tigers. It's a San Antonio holiday, and the Tigers are celebrating so far as we head to the top of the 7th. Shavana now with a more comfortable 4-0 lead. We've got confirmation that that ball never landed. Such a blast from Brian Schaub that it's still up in those trees behind left field. Somebody's going to have to go get one. Maybe he'll hit another one that knocks that one down.
Yeah, you can only hope so. He certainly deserves to have those baseballs. I think that you might have kind of underestimated his power. We've watched that replay a couple of times in between innings. I think that we could probably say with certainty that that baseball clears 420 feet easily out there in left field.
And more importantly, following it up with a clean inning. And Shavana starts it off on the right foot as he gets Galvan to pop up. So he's worked so hard all game to keep the Celts quiet. The Tigers finally provide a little bit more offense. So it's important for Shavana to keep them at bay here in the 7th.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's just more proof of the fact that Shavana continues to confuse these Celt hitters. On the other side of things, we talked about the fact that the Tigers, with the bats in their hands, continued to put good swings on the baseball. You could look at their at-bats, ones that didn't result in hits, ones that were strikeouts, and you could pretty easily identify what was going wrong, where the issues were, the hands leaking out from the body, the foot getting down too late. But for these Celts hitters, just have no answers right now for the breaking ball from Shavana. Brian, you've already talked about it, the control he's had over it, dropping it in for strikes at will, burying it in the dirt, having faith in Tyler Pettit behind the plate to block it. He's had it working all night long. There's no sign that he's slowing down here in the top of the 7th.
Absolutely continuing the domination that he has shown. Shavana getting that SCAC Pitcher of the Week award for the 2nd time this year. A complete game shutout against Dallas. And he continues to go at this Celts lineup. You see the 3-0 count. Pitkin not swinging, trying to get a base runner, just anything going here. But we're here in the top of the 7th, and the base hit from Pitkin way back in the 1st. Still the only one in the box score for the Celts. And he'll get on base once again as he draws this 5-pitch walk. So Pitkin, one of the few St. Thomas hitters really seeing the ball well out of the hands of Shavana.
Yeah, and you think back to that hit, certainly a hard hit ball up the middle, but that one taking a little bit of an odd bounce off the mound, flying up over the heads of those middle infielders for the Tigers. So it's taken a little bit of help even for them to get that one hit. Outside of that, base runners really been limited. I think that's been important considering the tendency to swipe bags from this St. Thomas side. I talked earlier about the struggles for Trinity. I believe you said around 58 of 62, somewhere around that mark of opposing teams taking bags successfully.
An 81% success rate, 48 of 59. But would doubt that we see Pitkin take off here down 4 and not someone who has a ton of speed as the catcher. McClure trying to just build that rally after the Pitkin walk. Looks at one outside to even up the count at 1.
But it's really been a well-rounded effort from these catchers and especially these pitchers to turn around and control running games in the more recent part of the season. Shavana doing a really, really great job of checking on runners early and often over there at first base. But we've also seen different deliveries to the plate, going with that more traditional slide step when the runners are on base. It's really slowed down opposing teams.
On that last one, first time we've really seen him try to go high with the fastball well outside. Pettit standing up before the delivery. He got it high, but McClure laid off, and now Shavana follows it up with that looping breaking ball, but McClure again staring at it. So the count 3-2. Still lots of noise being made from the St. Thomas dugout, not discouraged by the 4-run deficit. And McClure stays alive with the foul ball. We'll do the 3-2 once again, and it'll be pitch number 100 from Joseph Shavana. Just 1 hit allowed, 4 walks, but 5 strikeouts. And Shavana checks on Pitkin over there. Nothing doing.
Shavana has been utilizing that breaking ball all night long.
McClure, little jam shot to Harris, and he doubles up Pitkin at first. Don't know where Pitkin was going, as Harris able to catch that little pop-up and double up the catcher. And we're through 7 for Shavana, and it's time to stretch in San Antonio. All things pointing in the favor of Trinity here in San Antonio. Fans at home not the only one stretching during the 7th inning. A new pitcher on the mound for the Celts stretching as well as he warms up. Luke Sebesta now on the mound, the sophomore from Tomball, Texas. And he'll face Tyler Pettit to start things off here in the 7th.
Yeah, and a tough task here to start the bottom of the 7th inning. Tyler Pettit coming in that 8 hole, but a lot of pop in the bat that's come out more recently. I know we joke on the broadcast about that patented one-handed swing that Pettit has, but it also has the tendency to send the ball flying over the wall in left field.
Left field and right field, as we saw last game against Our Lady of the Lake. Pettit sending it right by that national championship banner in right field. Sebesta's first pitch to Pettit misses high for a ball. Pettit with a home run in 2 consecutive games and a hit in 6 consecutive games coming into tonight, but now 7 with the base hit he had earlier. And he swings with that patented one-handed swing, but this one's foul.
Yeah, and you talk about his success recently. Certainly nice to see for this Tiger team. Pettit had been in and out of the lineup earlier on this year. I know it's certainly difficult for him dealing with some things in that Babson series, some sickness and whatnot, but nice to see him in the lineup more consistently and really seems to have found his bearings in the batter's box. He's been that mainstay behind the plate. The defensive prowess hasn't gone anywhere, but that batting average beginning to tick up to where we were used to seeing it last year.
He grounds it to third, falls as he makes his way out of the batter's box, so Newcomb won't have any trouble getting him out at first. Hits it sharply, but right at the third baseman.
Yeah, does a nice job to go down, put a lot of barrel on that baseball. Unfortunately, hit right at Newcomb over there at third base. With that one coming off the bat so hard, not a difficult play for the third baseman to make.
Sebesta's first pitch to Montreza, off the glove of Pitkin for a ball. Sebesta going 3 innings and allowing 3 unearned runs in his last outing against Texas Lutheran. Tries to get it in to Montreza, but again, missing high. This is Sebesta's 6th appearance on the year, and he comes in with an ERA of 8.31. Trying to keep things right where they're at and give his offense a chance. Dots one there for a strike. 2-1 the count now to Montreza. Montreza 1 for 2 on the evening. And a good hack, but a foul ball to take the count even at 2. Ball in the dirt. Nice job from Montreza to lay off, so now the count full.
And again, a nice spot from Montreza in this 9-hole to turn things over for the top of the lineup. But Brian, when you look at that lineup here today, top to bottom, only 4 guys suiting up in black this evening, walking away from this one with hits. Looking at that line score, haven't been following it incredibly closely for Trinity side tonight, but you look up there now, 4 runs on 5 hits, something that I think we've seen all season long. It's happened consistently for this team. They haven't needed a ton of hits to walk away productively from games.
Able to win in multiple fashions. As Harris lays off of that one in the dirt. It's a Trinity team that comes into today ranked atop the SCAC, not only in the standings with their record, but with their batting average, on-base percentage, and slugging percentage. So it is a team that can bat with the best of them. But they've shown today that they can also go toe-to-toe on the mound with the best in the conference. Another one in the dirt. Runner going. Montreza will be safe as the throw gets away from the second baseman Martinez. So heads up base running, not a huge lead over there, but taking advantage of the ball in the dirt. Great look at Montreza, able to swipe second.
Yeah, and looked like a little bit of a fake steal right there. I think you pointed out correctly that it wasn't a huge lead to begin with. So not surprised to see him stop on that replay, but a good job of peeking in, recognizing that ball in the dirt. And his speed just enough to get him in there safely, forcing Pitkin to be aggressive with that throw, try and get it out quickly. If he was going to have any shot at throwing Montreza out there at second base, caused it skip in there a little bit short and just too difficult to pick.
And as we've seen many times before, no lead truly big enough. So every run that the Tigers could add on will be key. And Harris has the big opportunity ahead 2-0 with Montreza bouncing around there at second. Harris puts a good swing on this one, but it'll go out of play and foul. Harris adjusting his batting gloves before stepping back into the plate. Came into tonight hitting .400 at the top of the Tiger lineup. But he is 0 for 3 tonight. Looking to correct it and get back into the hit column, which he is so familiar with. Waiting the 2-1 pitch from Sebesta. Harris does hit it hard, and Martinez can't quite gather it. He does get it in time, though. Somehow was able to recover and get Harris. It was hit so hard that Martinez had the time to regroup. You see Harris hitting it right on the buttons.
And a similar outcome to what we saw from Pettit at the start of this inning. Put a lot of barrel on the baseball, stayed down on the infield. Martinez unable to field that one cleanly, but second base close enough to first. So long as you knock it down, you're going to have a nice shot at getting the runner on the base pass. Harris runs well, but unable to beat that one out.
An extra run does stand 90 feet away. Nathan Brolick will be the one to try to drive him in. And we talked about it a little bit earlier that Evan McDonald's hot take video will be on its way after this inning. And we get a little more time to talk about it. What a nice visit to the mound. Perfect timing to get to really introduce that video. But a visit to the mound, and the whole infield will be here to talk about what to do next. But Brolick will be seen in the video. Won't say exactly his role, but he'll be in that debut McDonald's hot takes. Do you have any guesses as to what might be the hot take, Luke?
Well, you mentioned the fact that it's somewhat related to the Spurs. I know we talked about the Lakers, and I wouldn't be surprised given the fact that, I know you mentioned MJ Metz being featured in that video. Wouldn't be a shock if Evan McDonald had something to say about MJ Metz Lakers and their inability to make the playoffs this season, but I'll just have to wait and see.
It's a good guess. But I'm not going to tell you if it's right. You have to stay tuned to Tiger Network for the break. As Brolick looks at one outside for ball 2. I will say that not only is Brolick in it, but the next 3 hitters are in it. Brolick, Gore, and MJ Metz will be in this hot takes video.
Certainly some characters, some strong personalities there. Spending time around this team and getting to hear what they have to say about different sports. A lot of different ways this video could go, certainly.
It's a good one. I think you'll enjoy it. I think fans at home will enjoy it.
You certainly set the bar high with the rice cooker video, with the Las Palapas, the allusion to some of the best pancakes that you can get in San Antonio. But I wouldn't be surprised that if this video was able to top that one. A lot of really good guys, a lot of really funny guys as well. So excited to see what exactly we have in store at the end of this inning.
Ball squeezes behind Pitkin, and another run will come across to score. Montreza looking alive on the base pass here in the 7th. And Pitkin not having the best night so far, both on the base paths and behind the plate.
Yeah, outside of that one throw that went awry early on in this one, allowed Trinity to score their first of the game, Pitkin's looked really solid defensively. He's done a nice job of at least blocking the baseball. But on that one, doesn't get the glove down soon enough. And it squeaks between his legs, as you mentioned.
Brolick drives it deep, but for the 3rd out of the inning. So now, McDonald's hot takes on the way.
Yeah, I have 2 hot takes. Number 1, this first one is going to make some San Antonio locals proud. DeJounte Murray is a top 5 point guard in the NBA at this very moment in time. And then the last one, Carlos Correa is the best shortstop in the league, and you can't tell me different. I mean, 280 hitter with 25 home runs and a platinum glove. Like, what more could you want?
So Evan McDonald said that DeJounte Murray is a top 5 point guard in the NBA.
Yes. That's cap. Only San Antonio people. Only San Antonio people.
I very much agree.
He's from Fuserville. That's camp. Top 5 point guard.
After Steph and John.
Wait, you got Steph. You got Shaw, I'll take Kyle Lowry over.
Oh, no shot. Look at the numbers.
I'll take Lonzo Ball over.
I'll look at all the
John
numbers.
T.
You take
Kyle Lowry?
Yeah, no shot.
Today.
No
What
shot.
about Jamal Murray?
I'll take Jamal Murray over.
Jamal Murray with his torn ACL?
He's not even the best Murray in the league.
Chill.
He's not even the best Murray in the league.
I stand by Evan McDonald.
I think
he's a top. I don't.
Kyler Murray be better.
All right, second hot take. Carlos Correa is the best shortstop in the MLB.
No, he's maybe top 5. Yeah, maybe top 5. Maybe.
You don't need. That was mine.
He's better.
That
He's
was
better.
mine.
Tatis,
Corey Seager.
Bogarts.
Xander Bogaerts.
What about Trevor Story? No, he's not. No, Correa's better.
So there you have it, McDonald's hot takes for the first time this season, live on the air. Back in San Antonio live, we have a leadoff double for St. Thomas as they try to climb back into this one. Down 5-0 in the 8th, but Luke, gotta hear your thoughts first on the hot takes as Newcomb grounds it to the left side. Gonna try to get the runner at third, and he will. Heads up play by Montreza to get the lead runner, Galvan. Make that carrier, trying to take the bag at third. And when you're down 5, don't know quite why you're trying to take that bag.
Yeah, especially when that ball is hit in front of you like it was. We saw in that replay shot a moment ago, the fact that Montreza was shaded well up the middle, playing behind him. That was likely going to be the only play he had. It's a speedy runner in the batter's box. Would have been a really tough play over there at first base. I think you're entirely right, Brian. The runner on the base paths just needs to freeze in that situation. See Montreza field that ball. Watch him try and make that play at first. Force him to try and make that play at first instead of recording the first out on the base pass at third base, something that you never want to see happen.
Tough play for Wisniewski. Another big hop that he's able to gather and get the out on. Martinez running down the line, but recorded the second out of the inning, so some quick at-bats for the Celts. You might have imagined that they would want to try to work the count, really get Shavana out of here at pitch 103 now, but not a change in course so far for the Celts. 2 quick outs now in the 8th.
Yeah, not a change to their approach, and I think that's understandable when they've been as unsuccessful at the plate as they have been. They need to go up there and swing at pitches that are in the zone since they haven't been able to figure out this breaking ball. Trying to at least put the ball in play is a step in the right direction, so swinging at pitches early in the count makes sense. Put the pressure on the defense, force them to make some nice plays, and that's exactly what we saw on the last couple of batted balls. Montreza with a heads-up play, just understanding the situation on the base paths, and then for a second time in this one, a ball pounded into the ground that skies into the air just a little bit. It's a difficult play for Wisniewski over there, but he just shows off those quick hands that he has. Gets the ball out of his glove quickly and on to first base on time.
And for St. Thomas, coming into San Antonio, trying to knock off a talented Trinity team, but you can easily point to at least 3 outs that they've recorded on the base paths. And now another out via the strikeout, the 6th for Joseph Shavana. And the Celts strand a runner at second and remain scoreless here. And since we didn't get to talk about the hot takes because the Celts just so aggressive at the plate, we'll stay during the break and get Luke's opinion on the hot takes.
Well, I have to say that Evan McDonald now is in even higher standing in my books. I know that Ezra Gore was certainly unhappy with that take, and he did point out that it was the San Antonio people in the dugout that were happy with it and applauding McDonald, and I, as a San Antonio person as well, will applaud McDonald. I'll agree with his take. I will disagree with Ezra Gore putting Kyle Lowry of all NBA point guards into that top 5 conversation, LaMelo Ball as well. I think there's a couple of guys that you can name above DeJounte Murray. Certainly not the best point guard in the league. There's some holes in his game. Doesn't shoot the 3 ball as well as some others. I think Steph Curry still at the top of the list. John Morant up there as well. But I'd like to hear your opinion as well, Brian.
Well, first, I have to say how fun it was to get the hot takes and then the reaction. It seems scripted, and especially when I look back at that video, it seems like all 5 of the guys in the video had roles, but I promise you it was not. That was the first time they had heard the hot take, and their immediate reaction was what you saw. And they just had the perfect interaction. So I love that. I think Nathan Brolick's reaction to Kyle Lowry is the star of that video. There's a lot. Like, if you rewatch the video, you have to watch a different person every time.
I know, you can look at MJ Metz. He doesn't say a word, but just watching his reaction immediately, I think you're absolutely right. That's probably my favorite moment, is the delayed response to the name drop of Kyle Lowry. That's exactly how I felt if I was in Nathan Brolick's same position. But again, I need to hear your opinion on the matter, Brian. I know that you're a fan in the division of the New Orleans Pelicans, but I know that you're still at heart supporting the Spurs, happy to see the young guys be successful.
You're really grilling me here, Luke. I will give it to Evan. I do think Murray is atop the point guard standings in the NBA. Top 5, maybe. John Morant, Steph Curry, Chris Paul, Kyrie Irving. That's 4. Maybe some others out there. Gore certainly had vivid reactions to the hot take, as you mentioned, just not going with it at all. And Evan and Ezra really close here, as you might have seen if you read the feature on Ezra Gore. Those two spending a lot of time together at Trinity when Evan transferred from Prairie View A&M at the same time that Ezra arrived here in San Antonio. So even though Evan's a little bit older, basically in the same class. But you can tell, just because they're friends doesn't mean that Ezra agrees with him all the time.
Oh, clearly not. And certainly would have to have some more discussions with Ezra, try and get to the bottom of all of his reasoning.
Ezra sends this one to center field again. He's had a couple of balls sent out there. It's caught by the center fielder, Bearden.
Yeah, and this one perhaps the hardest hit ball to center field off the bat of Gore tonight. It sends Bearden back again, but to the deepest part of the ballpark. The wind blowing out a little bit tonight, but not doing a ton of favors for balls hit to center field. Ezra Gore hits a couple at least 350, 60, maybe 380 feet out there to center field. You imagine that he pulls those baseballs, they clear the wall in left field. But nonetheless, a good solid start to the weekend, things to build upon if you're Ezra Gore.
Absolutely, and MJ Metz now at the plate, trying to avoid striking out for the 4th time. He'll try to do it against the new pitcher that came in for the Celts, Brandon Madden. Madden, the freshman from Kingwood, Texas, making his first appearance since facing Our Lady of the Lake, as St. Thomas also faced the Saints, just like Trinity did this week. Madden going an inning and giving up 2 runs against the Saints. And right here, drops a 1-1 curveball for a strike to MJ, who you mentioned quiet, but says a lot with his actions in that video. Haven't told me about the Carlos Correa take much. Do you think that one was a little weaker in the factual background?
I don't know. That's a hot take that I also agree with. But for Metz right there, I think got the short end of the stick of the previous offering, that curveball that just got dropped in there on what was called to be the outside part of the plate. A really nice pitch from Madden, and then he had the big, tall first baseman frozen on that fastball that he came back with right away. I think just goes to illustrate the importance of getting ahead in the count early on. Something that Joseph Shavana has done all night for the Tigers.
Wisniewski with nobody on, 2 outs in the bottom of the 8th, and maybe something we could guess before we see the insert. Do you think Shavana will be back out there for the 9th?
It wouldn't be a huge surprise. You know, he came into the top of the 8th having already thrown 100 pitches on the evening. but he got through that inning quickly. I think that if he comes back out, continues to pitch to contact, he could get through the top of the 9th inning quickly. And, it's been a sneaky good performance from Shavana. We really raved about him all game long in his last start against the University of Dallas. He's been perhaps even better tonight. He's gone deeper into this one, having thrown 8 full innings. He's given up the same amount of hits in that span, just the 2, and hasn't given up a run to this Celts team that hung in against a really, really good Texas Lutheran team in last weekend's series.
It's definitely been an impressive showing and an impressive couple of weeks for Joseph Chavana and the entire Trinity pitching staff. We talked in depth about that 1-0 loss to TLU, but St. Thomas also lost 11-9 in Game 3 of that series, the most recent one. And so the Celts definitely have the ability to put runs up on the board. We talked about their ability to run on the base paths. They came into today with 14 home runs as a team. They average over 5 runs a game, nearly 6 runs a game. But Chavana has limited the Celts to just 2 hits on the evening. And we'll see if he'll get the chance to get the back-to-back complete game shutouts. Would be quite the sight as Madden receives a visit to the mound here. He got a fist bump there from a teammate, and he will get the ball taken from him from head coach David Wood. So Brandon Madden out of the game, and we'll take a quick break to meet the new St. Thomas pitcher. New pitcher on the mound to replace Brandon Madden. It is Trey Escobedo, the sophomore from Houston, Texas, trying to end the 8th inning at 5-0 and give his offense at least an opportunity to get back into this one. It's been a tough night for the Celts offense, but you never know here in D3 baseball. Lots of runs scored all over the country. And around the SCAC, Luke, some interesting scores to look at.
Yeah, and a bit of a low-scoring affair, at least by the standard that has been set in D3 baseball, between Southwestern and Schreiner. Low-scoring one in which Schreiner led 3-1 headed into the 8th inning, with the Pirates able to scratch 4 in the bottom, win that one 5-3. The only other action happening this Friday evening between Texas Lutheran and Austin College in the bottom of the 7th. The Bulldogs lead the Kangaroos 8-5. And the only other SCAC action to update y'all on, Trinity Tigers winning 8-0 here, improving their record and improving the turnaround to their season.
We'll stay right here with you during the break as Joseph Chavana does take his steps to the mound, and it looks like he'll have the chance to finish it off.
I think we can go back a couple of innings ago when we saw the double play on that soft liner to second base that ended things, and just talk about the performance and the room for not necessarily improvement that Shavana has, but the room to continue to grow and elevate his game. He's been so dominant in this one, throwing primarily that breaking ball, but we saw in that at-bat that ended the inning, the opportunity to do something more and to add something to his outings. I think that he utilizes that breaking ball so well, something that he's done across these last two starts and been in complete control of. Pitch that he's dropped in the middle of the zone, one that he's buried in the dirt. Something that I think it does really, really well for him is set up that fastball up, try and drive it past these hitters who are late on it.
It's already a career high in innings pitched for Shavana. Before today, the farthest he had gone in a game are those 7 innings that he got in the complete game shutout. So he's already well past that, and he gets a first pitch out on the pop-up from Bearden, 1 away in the 9th. Shavana came into today with a 4-1 record and a 4.45 ERA, but that has plummeted as the night goes along.
Yeah, Brian, and I think no matter what, he's able to make it to the very end of this one with that pitch count up at 109, likely to have to be clean the rest of the way to get through it all. He's making a case for a second consecutive SCAC Pitcher of the Week award, his 3rd of the season. But when you come out and you blank the team currently in 3rd place in the conference, it's hard to argue against him. I'm not sure if that's much of a hot take. I think the guys that we saw in that video earlier would probably agree.
I think you're definitely right about that. Shavana on a complete roll, and that breaking ball looking just as sharp as it did in the first inning. Not getting the call there from the home plate umpire, but it still has the movement from top to bottom, the slider, the side-to-side movement. He tries to get one on the inner part of the plate. Lamb laying off, and the umpire not giving Shavana the strike call. So Shavana is behind here, 3-1. And he blows a fastball by Lamb. And so we don't have an exact reading on how hard that was, but it doesn't seem like it's slowed down since the start of this game.
Yeah, the pop of the glove from Tyler Pettit, incredibly loud. And that Mike on the field picking it up well, and a great job from Shavana right there. Blowed that fastball by Lamb, get even, fill the count up right there, force Lamb to swing the bat again on a pitch that he located well in the inner half of the plate.
2 pop-ups in the 9th inning, and Shavana 1 out away from blanking the St. Thomas Celts to open up this 3-game series. He stands tall on the mound. The 6'1" sophomore from Laredo, Texas, continues to shine. He goes with the breaking ball that misses a little bit high for ball 1. Just 2 hits allowed, 4 walks, and 6 strikeouts. This one in the dirt. Head coach Tim Scannell, something he preaches, it all starts with pitching. When the pitching is right, the team is right. And Shavana and the Tigers certainly doing their part as of late. This one is bounced up the middle. Harris with the nice play, the throw on to first. And the reigning SCAC Pitcher of the Week makes a case to keep his crown. A complete game shutout for Joseph Shavana, his 2nd in a row. And this one of the 9-inning variety make it 16 innings in a row without a run allowed for Shavana. And he just continues to amaze, Luke.
Yeah, and I know, Brian, that his last outing against the University of Dallas, we got the Orioles complete game. We got pitching, we got defense, we got 3-run home runs. There were no 3-run home runs in this one to distract us from the performance that Joseph Shavana had on the mound today. He goes the full 9 innings, giving up just 2 hits, the 4 walks. And I think the most impressive thing was the switch that he was able to flip in the middle of this game. Early on in this one, we pointed to his pitch count 3-4 innings into the game, the fact that it was elevated at 50, 60 pitches early on. And I guessed incorrectly that he was going to be handing the keys off to the bullpen. He shut that down right away. He started to pitch to contact. He was absolutely dominant in every capacity in this one.
No reason to hand the keys off when the guy driving the wheel is doing as well as he is. Joseph Chavana just completely dominating in these past 2 starts, all coming in San Antonio, blanking the Crusaders in 7 innings last week, and now shutting down a St. Thomas team with 9 runs and no runs allowed. Looking at the box score on the offensive side, it wasn't a whole lot, but it didn't take much. He could have had just 1, but the Tigers got 5. 2 of them came on that big 2-run home run from Brian Schaub. You got hits from Montreza and Pettit at the bottom of the order, and Gore rounding things out with a base hit, but really not what we're totally used to seeing. No double-digit runs, but still a win, an 8th in a row for the Tigers.
Yeah, and you saw today some of the things that we've seen the past couple of games and we've really placed an emphasis on. It's more about timely hitting in these close affairs. It's more about scratching the runs across when you have runners on base with 2 outs. There's a couple of things that we saw the Tigers do today, and it proved incredibly, incredibly successful for them here in this one.
It is victory number 8 in a row, and the Tigers will look to keep that momentum going right here in San Antonio tomorrow with a doubleheader, and we have it all for you on Tiger Network. First pitch at 2 p.m., and that next one should follow up around the 5 p.m. hour, and we hope to have you with us for it because it should be some more great baseball as we saw tonight. Thank you so much to everyone in the control room and working the cameras, providing you this great broadcast. It was a pleasure to bring you this Game 1 of a big series, and we can't wait to see you tomorrow. For Luke Terry, I'm Brian Yanselson. Have a fantastic Friday night.